This is the Reality Self-Help Podcast. Summer House Recap Edition, because I'm on a mission. So this is the finale episode. There will be 3 more episodes because there's 3 parts of the reunion, but this is the finale episode of the Reality TV Self-Help Podcast, Summer House Recap Edition, episode 16. And I started just watching the first episode, the inaugural episode of In the City, and it's already really addictive. And they did the wonderful crossover, which is what I think they did with RHOBH and Vanderpump as well, where it just seamlessly goes into the next one. Same thing here from Summer House into In the City, same scene. So you totally understand if someone didn't understand. Oh, this is very closely connected, and we're going to pick up just where we left off right there at the exact same spot. So that was great for introducing timeline. But I have watched a conversation between Kyle and Amanda, and that I don't think I paid attention because I was like, I feel like it could be after the West thing came out, but I couldn't tell if that was an inserted scene or because Kyle mentions Amanda having an emotional affair with West. So that I wonder if that accusation was already happening on camera way before this came out as a real official thing. So that's all that. But anyways, I'll get to this. So See You Later is the episode. I typed the notes onto my computer this time. So we see Ciara and Kyle have a convo at the beginning. I really like what Ciara was saying. I think she, without shaming Kyle from the FU thing, she said, a quote was that you do irreparable damage, she said. So she's also said she's not saying it from a place of judgment, but it is concerning. And she said, we want you to be happy. We don't know if that's together or apart. And Ciara also said, this is an actual quote as well, no one's rooting for you guys to get divorced. And then I wrote, I think I know one who's rooting for them to get divorced, and his name would be West. And Kyle's looking down. He's really sad while talking to Ciara. He's really remorseful for his behavior. So I was liking that friendship there. That seemed respectful. I've never seen, for example, Ciara act in a way towards Kyle that, of course, she could. She's drop dead gorgeous. She could use that beauty and sexuality as a power over people, but I don't think she gets off on that. So, and Kyle as well. Kyle is good at not flirting with other women who are very beautiful, and I think he is able to turn that part off of his brain that is straight and speak to women that are close to his friends or just other women respectfully. Also, the really good conversation between Kyle and Lindsay was beautiful. Lindsay asked for him to sit down. So Turtle Time, this podcast that I love and listen to, that is about all different Bravo shows. The hosts, Amy and Riley, they are in support of Carl's mom, and they think the people like me that we are the rare minority that don't like Carl's mom. This is what I'll say. I also learned a new detail today that I didn't know about. I didn't know about Carl's mom going and dancing up a storm with someone who I feel like exists in the celebrity reality realm. I can't think of who it. Oh, Sheena Shea. That's who it said. That Carl's mom, I'm sorry because I don't know his mom's first name. Sharon, sorry. That she went and danced with Sheena Shea in Mexico on the weekend. That would have been Carl. Sorry, my cat keeps. Sharon, can you get out of here, please? She keeps trying to break into this cupboard. So they apparently, it made it. I could tell from the style of the headline. It was an Us Weekly headline, so didn't even know about that detail, so I was sad I missed that, but interesting to add to the information. So yes, I very much felt the way that Lindsay did, especially because I just rewatched season 8 and seeing Carl's stepdad and his mom and Carl on the patio, the front deck of their house, and it's all the stepdad is the one who speaks and says basically he's concerned about Lindsay and Carl's impending nuptials, and he wouldn't marry them. He's married so many people, but if a couple's like this, he won't marry them. And again, I do see what he's saying. Carl's mom is so overeager, jumping out of her seat the whole time. You can tell how much she's in agreement with everything the stepdad's saying. She's not technically saying anything, and that's why I find it really annoying. But she was shipping every single thing that was coming out of the stepdad's mouth, and you could see, because Carl did feel so trapped in the type of person he is that would look for other people to say, like, as the starting off point for making a decision like this, because he's so or at least was so non-confrontational at that point in time, for how scary it would be and how pissed off Lindsay was obviously going to get for him calling off a wedding really close to the day of the wedding happening. So Yeah, I seeing it back, I was like, oh, and then yeah, just Sharon, Carl's mom at the bridal lunch, or I don't know what they call it, where it's just mostly women. Carl showed up briefly, but his mom was kind of weird to Lindsay, and just I thought I would find her behavior very fake. I just think Sharon is really pushy, but she's also really mean, and I don't think she really likes women from a lot of what I've seen so far. Understanding Lindsay at that point in time also getting really worried about, oh, so your family doesn't want you to get married to me. They don't. That's how she was taking it. And even though they weren't saying that, because that would make them look like assholes, there still was, of course, shade, which was justified because Lindsay would speak in a way that was really not helpful. And then Carl was shut down and wasn't being honest in a way that was really not helpful. That's why it's good that they broke up prior to getting married. So all this stuff led to the conversation that happens on the finale of Summer House. So Lindsay says to Carl, and this was just great. Lindsay said, I buried a lot of things down after the breakup, and then she was explaining, yeah, when I saw your mom, and she did make me uncomfortable because his mom, I don't know if it was a tweet or what she publicly said this on, but it was a public something coming from her directly, so it wasn't just a rumor, but she was basically saying that Lindsay is a little bit mean. So then when his mom came, and Lindsay said his mom didn't reach out to her for until a month after the breakup from when Carl dumped her. So she said, yeah, it seems kind of fake, and then was asking about Gemma, Lindsay's daughter, and then Lindsay said, well, she's a little bit mean like me. And then the thing that Carl's mom, Sharon, said is just, you are you. Even that right there. If I don't think Turtle Time is listening to this, but I like to dream and manifest things, so I hope they are. And if they hear this, so she goes back to Lindsay, you are you. She wasn't like, no, I shouldn't have said, that was in the heat of the moment. I said you're mean. I think you have a harsh tongue, but I love you, Lindsay. She could have said anything really comforting. Instead it's, well, you are you. And ew, I just don't like Carl's mom, and I just think she is an ass. And sorry, my cat is Cher, can you please go? She's getting into my blinds. She wants attention, I guess. So yeah, nevertheless, Lindsay and Carl have a really, really beautiful conversation together. So they're sitting outside. Maybe I do need closure. They talk about, Lindsay mentions, remember that one time that Carl fainted the night before he was proposing to Lindsay? I forgot about that, but that is true. She said she was rattled. This is what she's talking about his mom. And Carl goes on to say, when you really look at it, like, that it's fucking fucked up and I'm really sorry. So he acknowledged that what his mom did was not okay, and I really liked that. Carl is almost crying, and you can see they're able to get to a deeper place of acknowledge they don't have to block out that what they had before. They can kind of let that in, that they were best friends for a really long time, and they were engaged, and they were in love with each other, and they almost built their whole entire life together. So there's of course a lot that's been unsaid, and they're in this very bizarre position for their job, which we really appreciate. Is seeing what happened last night is just such a productive conversation between two people, conflict resolution. He said, I had a lot of fun and a lot of good memories together. I just didn't handle any of that situation well at all. And so glad you told me to come over here and talk. I learned a lot right now. Thank you, and I'm sorry. To contrast with West. This is why I think Carl said, Lindsay can kind of motivate him basically, and you told me to come over here and talk, and I learned a lot right now. Thank you, and I'm sorry. And just such a beautiful thing to say. But again, I think Carl has genuine compassion for Lindsay. He has compassion for himself and other people. Then we see Amanda. Kyle goes, can I introduce you to someone? She goes, nah, I'm good. So we see her just running away from him in the most awkward way. Okay, so then Ciara's talking to Sabrina, and she's saying, like, you've taught me to just kind of wear my heart on my sleeve. I have a crush. You can believe in that. And that's fine to loved and to have lost. And I'm the exact same type of person. I'll just be like, yeah, whatever. That's what Ciara foreshadowing is saying to Sabrina. And it's like, oh my gosh. Yes, like, I do think it's still better that Ciara had an open heart, but I hate that West weaseled his way back into her heart one more time, because I don't think that necessarily needed to happen. But I guess it did, because it did happen. So West asks Ben, of course, in roundabout, because of course he's not going to say it to Sabrina directly. I was even shocked West would say anything at all, but he said, West asks Ben to ask Sabrina to not try to force them to date in the moment. So West is already freaking out like the little bitch that he is. And even though he knew best friend was code for girlfriend, that's what I wrote. So I hate that he said to Ciara, because girlfriend's a big deal. Best friend is kind of equal in a sense to your partner. And it's, Wes knew that saying best friend is saying someone's your number one. That's why I don't like that he chose to say that to Ciara. And that's why I think it's truly mind fucking someone to say such extreme stuff. But they're just people who are always aware, well, I can leave myself this tiny little bit of wiggle room where I can pretend that that didn't imply that to that person, but they also are happy they've thought of saying something like that, because they know, like, he knew Ciara was going to take the bait, that there was a high chance once he saw how she was so affected by him still. So yeah, I don't like that he asked her, can we be best friends again? Because I think Wes knew that was code for girlfriend, and he was okay with making that big of a proclamation. He could have just said, can we be friends again, Ciara? Can we just kind of have fun around each other, but understand, as he said before, that they're not meant to be? I wish he could just say, as I told the New York Times, very publicly announced, as I hurt your feelings doing so, I don't think you're my person. So that was already determined now, and so I'm feeling that again. But no, he has to just see what can happen, and then we know it gets so much more extreme than what we're even seeing here. So West also says, it's hard to ignore the sexual tension. I am not trying to portray that I am a boyfriend. I couldn't say that 2 years ago, and I should have. I believe he was saying this to Jesse. Instead of just being like, I'm not there, the last thing I want is her heart broken. So what I want to know is, do guys who don't constantly break hearts even have to say shit like this? This phrase is common to me from guys, but I think I don't want to hurt you, but I think the number one thing they get off on was breaking my heart, and that's what I think West gets off on with Ciara too. So, Kyle could never handle Lindsay. The fuck you. Kyle says gave her everything. He says through saying fuck you to Amanda, screaming that at her at the dinner table, that he gave her everything she needed to walk out the door. And yes, I will say, when I ended an 8-year relationship, there was something that was like a body concern that was already always denied, and then that person used that and was saying like, yeah, that was an issue for me. And I was just like, okay, you're just making it so much easier for me to break up with you. So I do see what Kyle was saying of it made everyone understandably go, what are you doing to her? There's no way around it that this is not okay. So then Amanda's more comfortable saying, okay, I'm not here. Amanda dips the chicken finger into the thing, and it's covered in the blue cheese. And she just sucks all that off, and Mia's face looked at her thinking, you're a weirdo. And Amanda then says, no, I'm being silly because I don't want to acknowledge the reality of the situation with Kyle. Then I also noticed she's saying thanks to them for being so direct, because they say what she thinks but doesn't say out loud, but she won't really look at them. She looked at Ciara once at the end only. And this goes back to Amanda's, I just fear that I'm not enough for anyone else. And then we see Amanda being comforted by Ciara and Mia again. And I do believe that is what Amanda thinks, because I think her decision to hook up with West, that could not occur with someone who sees themselves as valuable, worthy, lovable. I just don't believe that's possible. So I actually do believe that Amanda does have a real fear that she's not enough for anyone else, and that's why she's downgraded with West after breaking up with Kyle. Also, at the end of the episode, she says, I'm going to go stay in a hotel for a few nights. So I have still been, because I can never believe when people do these cheating things in the first place. And then so I'll still never believe that it can start it will never start earlier than I think, or they say, or all these details I'm like, no, but even though they did that, they can't do this. So maybe it did start last summer, because Amanda was so eager, and that really seems different than how Kyle described Amanda, which is someone who the cleaners don't want to clean for her because she's just at home all the time. Amanda was so eager to go to a hotel, which is very strange for someone who is very codependent and attached to where they live. And then I was thinking, because when West kissed or said goodbye, but did a weird open mouth kiss mouth thing on her head. If you need to see it again, I'm sure you noticed it, but if you didn't, it is worth going back to look, because again, way too intimate. Would never ever do this to a guy. Just imagine, would he do that to Kyle? No. Would he do? No. This is so extreme, and Ciara was all around there. It's just way, way, way too much what's going on between those two. So yes, I am wondering, did West go see Amanda at the hotel? Did it start earlier? Because yes, it would be so exciting if Amanda, I hope she did do all this alone so that she at least got a few days of being alone before she dove into another relationship. But it's little out of character for her, but maybe she was just so done with everything. We see Ciara and West making out outside. So they've broken the seal, at least on camera. Kyle's out so late, and when he goes to bed to go to see Amanda, people are like, oh, like, and then, yeah, so that he stayed out so late after Amanda obviously hates him. And then, yeah, West goes, she wants you dead. And then I think Jesse or someone else goes, coming home to your wife at 6 a.m. in the morning. Okay, Ciara resists the urge to go to bed with West. And then she tells Mia that she went to bed at 6. And that she made out with West. And Mia goes, what? Also, Jesse asks something very valuable, which is, did you and Ciara have a conversation? And West says no. Then West says, I'm really confused about that, and I don't know what to do. Jesse says, I don't know if this is Jesse or West, but the conversation leads to only if you're 100% in. And we also see Mia being a really, really good friend. I would be really scared to bring this up when someone's so excited, because I know I'd be so annoyed about if someone's bringing up the truth about someone when I don't want to focus on that. But she said, Ciara, I remember what it was for you when you and West broke up. So I just wrote, I love Mia. And then Ciara goes, I'm just saying, rarely have I made the same, or that Mia says, I'm just saying. And then Ciara goes, rarely have I made the same mistake twice. Oh, Lord. And West is so weird outside. After jumping in the pool, Ciara is calling to him. He immediately hates her. That's what I noticed. It's already like, oh, she's bothering me. You can just tell as soon as a girl likes him. Even it's just crazy. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde switch, because the game is, it's just now the person likes you, and that is not fun because you hate yourself, so you need someone who is not into you. But it's crazy that the level to which Wes is just like not in, is already like, she's too clingy, and it's like, you just spent more than a year getting this person back to this point, and you're pretending that it's all on Ciara. Like, why did you stick your foot on her? Why were you touching her back earlier in the season? All these things that we get to see that you don't notice at the time when you're in a situation like that with someone, where it's like the lengths people will go to try to get someone's trust back again or interest, and then the second they have it, don't care. So, okay. Oh, so they're taking a photo at the end all together saying, family on 3, that's how tight-knit they are. Ciara says, I love you. West says, I love you back. He says, I love you back. Mia says, take care of your girl or I'll kill you. Then we have Amanda and Kyle. This is D-Day. This is it. Amanda is very muted at first. It's hard to see how affected she is. Kyle is more crying, visibly very, very affected. Is Amanda a compulsive liar? Because he brings up a conversation that he had with Ciara about Amanda saying Kyle wouldn't go for a separation, but that she would, and that's what Ciara brought up to Kyle at the beach. Then she says she disagrees with Ciara about a break. She said, I don't remember it like that. Well, it's on camera, so I think we'll deal with that at the reunion. So he says, that's what Amanda uses at the porch convo to say, that's the shit that scares me, pushes me back to square one. She wants time apart, she wants to be alone, and it has to be done. That's it? Or is it? Because Loverboy is making tons of money off the merch of this craziness. There's a lot happening, and we get to see that reunion in 1 week. I get to finish In the City, which has already been so good just with what little bit I've watched. I'm like, Oh my God, I'm addicted already. And yeah, I can't believe it's been 16 weeks of Summer House already. 3 more weeks to go. If you live in Vancouver and you're listening to this, please come to all, ideally, of the Summer House reunion watch parties. It's at Good Co Granville. They're all Tuesdays. It's seating at 6. The show will start at 7. There's prizes to be won. And May 26th, June 2nd, and June 9th. Thanks so much for listening. And I will be here next week. It's going to come out on a Wednesday for the next 3 weeks because I'm going to be at those parties on a Tuesday and cannot put it out late night Tuesday with a guarantee. If you're listening to this, please like it or give me a 5 stars. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, follow anything to up the algorithm. Have a good night. Thanks.